Good Thursday afternoon, everybody. I'm meteorologist Tim Pandajis here with your Atlantic tropical update here on the second day of the official hurricane season, June 2nd, 2022. We're looking at Invest 91L, development of it into our first named storm in the basin, now looking likely. The latest out in the tropics since we last spoke, although more convectively active today, which you'll see on satellite imagery in just a second. Invest 91L still lacking a defined closed center of circulation. But chances of development have increased to 80% within the next 2 days and remain at 80% within the next 5. The system currently is battling a high wind shear environment. You could also easily see that on the satellite imagery. It is kind of enveloped in the overall gyre circulation, the KHOU event, Central American Gyre. You can see where Invest 91L currently is. Here's the stats on it from the Hurricane Center going off of the advisory from this morning still. The center of it located here in the northern tip of the Yucatan Peninsula. Look at the ominous look of the flare-up of convection here, located, displaced from the center off to the east, meaning the surface center is located here to the west of all the convection, and all the convection is getting blown off to the east. High wind shear environment. By the way, what we're looking at here is the infrared imagery and the cloud top temperatures. Why that's important? When they're colder cloud tops, they're higher up in the sky, meaning they're stronger. When we see lots of whites like this, that's very cold cloud tops. You notice even some pinks in there as well, indicating a healthy look to at least the convection, but it is not vertically stacked, meaning it's not ventilating properly. It's rather disorganized. And as long as that wind shear is present, which I can turn on here and show you in the upper levels of the atmosphere, we've got the winds blowing in out of the north to northwest, and that is shifting all of that convection you can see there off towards the east of that center. In fact, the winds look to be coming more westerly and southwesterly now, still displacing all of that convection. You see the 80% chance of development in 2 days, 80% within 5. That first name on the list is Alex. Now, a change from yesterday, too. We need winds of 39 miles per hour or greater to get that tropical storm designation. Notice we're at 35 miles per hour now. It is still just crawling to the north at 7 miles per hour, but it is at that northern tip. And once it moves into the open waters here of the very warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico, we'll likely see some organization continue, and the wind shear should back off slightly. Here's the wind shear environment presently. We see that southwesterly wind displacing all of that convection off to the east of that surface center, or what's trying to be Prague as the center. And going forward in time, the shear environment, all the shaded areas here is areas of high wind shear. As it moves in the direction towards southwest Florida, which looks to be the consensus on all the models and where it's heading, likely still some shear, but I don't think it's enough to deter it from becoming a named tropical system here before it heads into Florida this weekend. So let's go over what wind shear exactly is. So with tropical systems, you need that surface low to be stacked under all of the mid-level lows as well and upper-level lows. So it needs to be a stacked system vertically built. So that means normal hurricane wind flow. Inflow at the surface, outflow aloft. When you introduce wind shear, which is a change in wind speed and direction with height, you get that whole system to just be tilted over, and it cannot breathe or ventilate properly. So it's very detrimental to tropical development. Here's how things look on the visible satellite imagery. Again, very evident of a wind shear environment currently. There's the surface center right now with the southwesterly winds aloft, keeping all of the cloud cover and convective activity over the open waters, the Yucatan Straits here, the Caribbean, the southern Gulf of Mexico, and then there's portions of western Cuba with a lot of convection, a lot of heavy rainfall in there as well, and some gusty winds, but just nothing organized. Something new I'm going to show you that we didn't talk about yesterday, and this is relative vorticity, atmospheric spin. And what you're looking at here, these are areas of more concentrated spin. There's actually two dueling lobes of energy here that are kind of pivoting around one another. They're both kind of pulled into that gyre circulation. But this is also very elongated. You need to see that be much more concentrated and circular in nature to give it really a cyclonic feel or a cyclonic signature that it's a developing system. This is really too messy as it looks right now, and it's got a lot to go before it can get its act together. It has plenty of fuel, though. and we look at the sea surface temperatures right now, and all of this dark red and maroon are sea surface temperatures that are well above what's needed, which is 80 degrees Fahrenheit. These are more like mid to upper 80-degree temperatures. And if you look closely, you can see this really dark maroon kind of tongue coming out of the Caribbean up into the Gulf of Mexico. This is something called a loop current. And what this is just, it's a current of warm water spreading in from the Caribbean Sea northwards, and that's transporting even warmer ocean waters, more fuel into the path of this storm as it moves on into southwest Florida. And these temperatures are running anomalously above average, 3 to 5 degrees above where we should be for this time of the year. So it's warm, it's going to stay warm, and that fuel is certainly present. Alex is the first name on our list here in 2022. 21 names to go, and the forecast is for us to use all of them according to NOAA. Here's how the spaghetti plots look. Each line here is a different computer model. Very good consensus here in the long range. Going out in the next 48 hours, this takes it into southwest Florida around Saturday morning or so. It's not a slow-moving system. It'll be in and out of there within about 24 hours, probably less. So we're not talking about an immensely disruptive system by any means. And now I want to switch things up and show you just the GFS. And this is the GFS ensemble. So it's the GFS model base, and we run an ensemble, which is just a run of the model several different times, 30 times to be exact. There are 30 members. And you tweak it at initialization just to kind of see like what would be the difference if we change this or that, if it would have a different outcome. And these are the results. Pretty much all in agreement here towards the southwest coast of Florida, north of Miami, north of Key West in the next 2 days. Now here's the other modeling here showing the swath of tropical moisture coming out of the Gulf of Mexico and Cuba and spreading over central and southern Florida into the day on Saturday. But by Saturday afternoon, early afternoon, most of that's pushing offshore and into the Bahamas. But at that time, or after that time, we're looking at anywhere from a half foot, maybe locally higher, 8, 9, 10 inches of rain in central and southern Florida. So that could lead to some flooding issues, and that looks to be the main concern. Flooding potential in central and southern Florida. Not a huge wind event, which is a good thing. All right, if anything changes or if it finally gets that designation of a tropical storm and a name, we'll be back with another video. Until next time, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, you can find me. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Have a great rest of your Thursday.